So in today's video we're going to look at these rear lights that are out. We said before this one should obviously be lit up and the reversing lights out as well. On the dashboard, when we turn the ignition on, we just turn it on, you see everything fires up as normal. We get the normal notices, we get the date, but then once it runs through we get the check running lights symbol, we get the check stop lights as well, and if I pop it into reverse, obviously just sat here, we get the check reversing lights as well. So hopefully by the end of the day we'll have fixed them and we'll be back to no errors on the dashboard. We've said before in a previous video about, we suspect it's the wiring loom here. There's a common problem with these Alfas, the wires are just end up going brittle and just snapping once the boot's been opened loads of times, in and out, up and down. So we're going to look at that obviously, but the missus said, are you sure it's not just the bulb that's gone? So you know what, it's not a bad idea just to check it. For the reversing light it could be, but for the LED strip it's unlikely to be. So we'll have a look and see what we think. So to check the bulbs, obviously we're going to need to take the reversing bulb out, not the LED strip at the moment, but inside the boot we've got a nice easy access panel here, so we'll just take that out and get to the bulb. So once you remove the cover, it's easy enough to take off. You just pop a screwdriver in there, pull it forward, there's just a few retaining clips on it, it just comes down. What you can see then inside is we've got a screw here, just a retaining screw, and then up here there's just a retaining clip as well. Undo the screw, loosen off the clip, or just unclip the clip rather, and then the light set should just come away. So once you've got the light set out, this one is the reversing bulb. You can see, because it's come out of the bit with the white lens obviously. In this case we can actually see that the element is perfectly intact. We've got a nice bit of light behind there where we can see it, but we'll just stick a multimeter on it anyway to be sure, just check for continuity, make sure that that's okay. So I've just got the bulb out and just got the multimeter here just on continuity, so touching the terminals together we know we get a beep. So we'll just rest that on one side, the other end on the other side, and we get lovely continuity. So we know the bulb's fine, so it's likely going to be the wiring loom. So I'm going to pop the bulb back in and yeah, we'll start stripping this down. So the way I want to go about this is actually, rather than cutting into the wiring loom or getting a replacement wiring loom, I know there's loads on the market, but it's only a couple of cords that are broken, so I think I saved myself 50-60 quid on a new wiring loom and or replacement section that you cut out. I'm going to strip everything down, take all the plugs off, try and get some slack so I can move the rubber boot up the loom, repair the broken cables, and then slide it all back down, put it all back together, and hopefully it should be all done. But let's see how that goes. Fingers crossed it will work out, but yeah, let's get started. So the first bit I'm going to tackle is, or what it looks to be, is basically this plastic section at the kind of the back bit here, the top bit. There's a couple of screws in where the handles are, so I'm going to take them off, and then I think it's just some clips. So I'll give that a go. So that's gone pretty well, pretty happy with the way that went. Just a load of little clips that we can see after we removed the two screws. They all just clipped in. We only broke one, so not too fussed about that. We can get a replacement one of them. But yeah, you can just see where they all clipped in into little retainers here and there. Yeah, so pretty happy with that. So I think the next step is going to be to remove this one, and then obviously this one, see how we get on with that. But I think that's pretty good. It's managed to expose all the wiring loom for the various bits and pieces. But yeah, we just obviously need to access that so we can get the slack, so that we can put it forward and slide that loom, or slide the rubber, should we say, up the loom to get some room to fix the cables. So it turns out the next bit that had to come off was this middle bit. This end here actually tucks behind it, so we had to take this end off first. You can see that there's a couple of big clips, or one big clip there, and then 1, 2, 3 clips, and then this end tucks in at the other end just behind here as well. The one that's missing, conveniently, is still in here and it didn't break, so happy about that. Over on this right hand side, there's, I'm not sure what this is, I don't know, but hopefully we'll see if we find out when we take this cover off. But if I don't find out, someone let me know down in the comments below, that'd be great. So I've started taking this side off. Obviously we just had a little retaining screw there, and then I started pulling from this end. We had a clip in here which just come away nicely, and then I could see this bit in the middle here, and it turns out that you do actually need to take this screw out. I didn't think it was a retaining screw at all. I just thought it was kind of a small weight bearing thing for your parcel shelf, but it turns out you do need to take it off. So I'll finish taking that off, and then yeah, this bit should come away. Okay, so that's everything stripped off. So now we can start undoing all the plugs and removing basically everything, all the connections, so that we can get the wiring loom nice and loose. Then we'll take this plastic cover off, and then see about trying to pull it through to here. Okay, so I managed to get all the plugs off. It's relatively easy. There's one for the wiper, I think there was one for the lights, one for the heated screen, and then that plug there that we don't know about. So basically you've got the wiper one there. It was quite interesting to do the wiper one. You actually needed to loosen this off so that you could then take it out. So just pull that forward. There's a couple of little lugs there. You can just loosen them off and then just pull it out. So we had the rear light plug, obviously the wiper plug that we said about, and these clips as well. I managed to get these clips because they're kind of clips with built-in cable ties. What we've actually managed to do is take the clips out and not cut the cable ties, so that we can just put them back in later and not have to replace those. So that's pretty handy. We've got the heated window, and then just this other plug here, which I'm not quite sure what it is yet. Looking in the wiring loom, we've kind of got this coaxial cable, which would suggest it could be an aerial, but I'm not sure why, because I've got an aerial on the roof, so the aerial shouldn't need to come through the boot loom. But yeah, we'll have a look. So what I'm going to try and do next is just remove the rubber boot from the car, just slide it along kind of the loom. Now I've managed to get some slack. I might put a little bit more through, but we'll see how that goes. And hopefully what that will show us is some broken cables inside this bit. So I'll give that a go, and yeah, we'll come back. So we managed to slide it up, and lo and behold, what do we find? Yeah, the broken cables. So absolutely as we suspected, we're going to need to repair these. We've got the coax cable as well, so we'll have a look at that. Whatever it was doing, it's not impacting the radio, because the radio works just fine. But let's set about trying to repair these, yeah, and getting them back to some sort of order. So now I've stripped it back a bit. We can see this coax cable is absolutely wrecked. Not only is it completely snapped, but it's also worn further down as well. We've got a few other cords that obviously we can see broken, worn through. So we'll get these repaired. I'm going to be using some heat shrink for this. Once we've cut into the cables, just obviously sliding it up, join them together, and then we just slide it back down, and then yeah, shrink it down, and hopefully it should fit inside the loom. But we'll give it a go and see how we go. Okay, so a little bit of a progress update. We've just done the first one. Just stripped the ends back, put a small bit of cable just in the middle, in between, soldered it up either end, and put the heat shrink on, and just yeah, heated it up, shrunk it down. I'm pretty happy with that. So that one's the first one done. So one done, another few to go, and then we'll see how we get on. So another little update. I thought I'd just plug the plug back on for the lights that are affected or aren't working, and then turn the lights on and see how it works. So as we can see, we've got our reverse light is working, our actual lights are working, and the fog light is working. I said before in a previous video that my lights aren't flashing, it's just the frame rate on the camera. So yeah, result, that was just all on that one cable actually, so must have been the negative. So we'll carry on, get the rest done. It should be a positive result. Okay, so that's the next couple done. That's three of them done now. That's all the broken cables. So now it's just this coaxial cable that we'll look at. I've got some spare coax cable, so it's a bit bigger, but be worth doing it, I think. So let's have a go. So I thought we'd have a look to see where this went to. Turns out that it connects to the mystery plug. I took the end of it just so I could see it is obviously a coax connector, but there's nothing connected to it. It doesn't go anywhere. So we'll repair the cable anyway, but if it doesn't work then we won't have lost anything, because it's yeah, it doesn't connect to anything basically. Our aerial is on the roof there, so yeah, it's not an aerial connection, or certainly not that I know of, but yeah, let me know if you know something otherwise. Okay, so I've managed to solder all the cables, repair them all, get the heat shrinks on all over the top of them so they're all back together. So the next bit, obviously I've just slid this boot down a bit, so the next bit is to get it all in. I've given this a bit of a clean up while I'm here as well, I thought I may as well. We'll just get that all back installed, and then we can get the whole boot put all the way back in, put all the plugs back on and just give everything a once over before we put the trim back on. But for now that should be good. Okay, so we've got the boot back on, it all feels good, there's no folds or creases or anything like that in it. So we just get all the plugs back on, I think, and just give everything a once over. Okay, so we just turned the ignition on, we've got the car in reverse, we've got the headlights on and we've got the rear fog light on. So we just come around the back and have a look. So it looks good, we've got our light strip is on, fog light is on, reverse light is on, running lights are good as well. The other side is still good also, and the rear wiper's working fine as well. Now to see if it'll actually stop when we turn it off. So the wiper stopped the second I turned the switch off, which is different to the way it normally does it, but it's been stopping kind of in any position that it wants to run in or wants to stop in all of its own accord. Sometimes it doesn't stop at all, so the fact that it actually stops now when you turn the switch off is a really positive thing. It's really good, so really pleased with that as well. So something else that's worth noting is just when I plugged this plug back in for the rear wiper, the pins that it plugs into weren't flat, they weren't all in a nice alignment. So just worth noting when you plug this plug back in that they just sit in properly and they don't bend up. Okay, so all the plugs are back on now. We've got obviously the wiper on, the lights, the window and the mystery coax cable. It's all back together, so now we can get all the mouldings on, all the plastic moulding, and then we should be able to tidy up. We should be all good and done. So I'll start getting the mouldings on, see how that goes and let you know. Okay, so we've got the first bit on just down the side here. I think it was the 1 and 2 clips. The parcel shelf retaining screw is back in as well, and then just the retaining screw that was there, all of those are back on. It's gone on nicely. So the next up is going to be the bit across the middle. Something that I've just found out, and it's really worth pointing out, is this slider here, or this clip here, on the bit that goes into it, it kind of has to sit behind it, and it kind of slides in behind it. So it absolutely needs to go in this end first, but you can kind of see where that goes up into there. It slides in behind it. So when you're putting it back on, make sure that it goes on this end first, and then kind of goes into our 1, 2, 3 clips, and then finally the big one clip that's going to go in there. So just to show you that, obviously that's that there. So we're going to slide it in that end first, slide that behind the lugs, 1, 2, 3 clips in the middle, and then the big one at the end. So now we've got that piece back on, I thought it would probably be a good idea just to shut the boot down and just give everything a once over, make sure everything's good still at this point in time. So we'll just close that, and I'll turn the ignition on, start the engine, and just make sure everything's okay. So with the ignition on, we're still just left in reverse here. So we just have a quick pop round to the back. Reverse lights on both sides, so that's really good. Great stuff. So there we go. So we've got our fog lights, we've got our hazard lights, our reversing lights were on, as we know. Our running lights are okay. The rear wiper's working fine. We'll just check the normal fault, see what happens when we turn the wiper off on the back. It still stops wherever it wants to, but we can now, I don't know whether or not you can see the back, we can turn it off whenever I want to right there, and it stops anytime I want. Back on, back off. Perfect. So everything's gone back together really well. The only casualty, like I say, was one clip that we broke there. But we'll get around to changing that. We'll see how it goes. If it rattles, it rattles. If it doesn't, then happy days. But yeah, there we have the loom, or the rubber boot, all back in place without cutting it, without splitting it or anything like that. So well chuffed with that. It's all good. So let's have a look on the dashboard and see what that's at. Okay, so in the car, we're just going to turn the ignition on, start it up. We've got the date up as normal, our range, any error messages. No error messages, nothing. I've just touched the brake, no check brake lights. Pop it into reverse. No check reverse lights. Great stuff. So I'm really pleased with that. We've got rid of all the error codes, all the messages that we had up, and all it's cost us is a couple of quid for a few heat shrink boots. I've not done that before. I've never taken those bits off. So hopefully for all of you Giulietta owners out there that have got the same problems and want to give it a go, now you can have a look behind the scenes, know what the clips look like behind there, and a decent way of doing it without compromising that rubber boot. Yeah, and you can be able to do it yourself. If you found it useful, please subscribe up here, I think somewhere. It means a lot to me, you guys subscribing. I'm really trying to get going on this channel, so every subscriber really counts and it really makes a difference. It means I'm going to keep coming back and making more videos, hopefully, so you get to see all the stuff behind the scenes, what goes on, where the clips are on all these panels, so that I can break them for you and you can learn by my mistakes. But yeah, for now, please do like and subscribe. It really means a lot to me. Yeah, it will make me keep making these videos. So thanks very much, and yeah, see you on the next one.